find any clues about the hackers until one of the Kaspersky Labs employees found a tiny mistake in the carbonic code. This mistake enabled the experts to send a request to the carbonic command and control server. In basic terms, if they sent a very specific message to this server, they would receive a very specific answer. However, there was one problem. They had to send this request to the carbonic command and control server and not any other server. But nobody knew the physical nor the digital address of this carbonic server. This meant that the Kaspersky team had to literally scan the entire internet and send this request to every single server connected to the web, hoping that one of the servers would eventually answer them with the message they were looking for. After 2 days, they got exactly what they wanted. The carbonic command and control server answered their request, and as a result of this, the experts were able to find it. The server was located in the country with the best IT infrastructure in Europe and the second best connected country in the world, the Netherlands. The Dutch police quickly managed to get their hands on the server and invited the experts to investigate it. The analysis of this command and control server then revealed the terrifying true scope of the carbonic attacks. They weren't just targeting banks in Europe and Russia, but in almost every country in the world. From China, Bangladesh, India, and other Asian countries to Africa and even the USA.
The U.S. is under cyber attack as federal officials warn that a likely Russian-based hack has penetrated deep into U.S. national security infrastructure. The breach is widespread, and there are growing concerns tonight about what may come next.
Without anyone noticing, the Carbonic Group had been infiltrating hundreds of financial institutions and stolen over $700 million US. After this incident, the investigation got a lot more serious. The JCAT task force began to cooperate with other intelligence agencies that were also searching for the same criminals. These included organizations such as the FBI, CIA, Romanian, Russian, and Moldovan intelligence agencies, and many more. As the experts got closer to the Carbonic Group, they suddenly disappeared. The hackers went silent for a few months, only to return and commit the biggest mistake of their hacking careers. Taiwan, 2016. The cybercrime group was back to business as usual, but two of the money mules were inexperienced and would cause a massive problem for the Carbonic Group. While they were retrieving money from some hacked ATMs, an unsuspecting local Taiwanese resident approached the bank to also get some money. As the resident approached, the two money mules got so nervous that they left as quickly as possible and forgot a stack of 60,000 NT dollars in the ATM. Surprised about the strange behavior of the two men, combined with the fact that they left a decent amount of money behind, the resident decided to alert the police. The Taiwanese police then watched the CCTV footage of the ATMs and immediately realized that something was off. They acted incredibly quickly, and before the criminals knew it, the incident was all over the news.
The first bank reported that over 70 million NT dollars was withdrawn illegally. The withdrawals were made in both Taipei and Taichung across 34 ATMs and 20.
To make matters even worse, the police had over 500 officers going through all of the CCTV footage they could, and they eventually tracked down the address of the two men. The competence and unbelievably quick actions of the Taiwanese police then led to the identification of 22 suspects. Most of them were Russians, and the rest were from Eastern Europe. The Carbonic Group was now in big trouble, and even though 19 of the 22 suspects had already escaped Taiwan, 3 were still there, alone, in a country that was hunting them and with millions of dollars in cash. One of the remaining suspects was a Latvian man known as Andreas Perigudovs. He was the alleged leader of the operation, and after he saw his face on national TV, he quickly decided to cut his ties with the money. He went to a mountainous area near Donghu Park in Taipei, hid 2 bags full of cash, and proceeded to travel to the Yilan province. The other two remaining members of the gang were still in Taipei and decided to store their part of the stolen money in the luggage lockers at the Taipei train station. Only a few hours later, two men arrived from Eastern Europe, picked up the luggage, and calmly went back to their hotel. What they didn't know is that hundreds of police officers were watching them through the Taiwanese CCTV camera network. Once they arrived at the hotel and left their luggage in their room, they went to have brunch in the hotel's restaurant. This is where the police finally took action and arrested the two men. In a perfectly coordinated operation, the police also captured Andreas Peregudovs on the same day. The Taiwanese police had done what nobody else could, and even though the arrested men were only henchmen that didn't know much about the Carbonic Group's leaders, the Taiwanese authorities managed to make the first arrest in the Carbonic case. This is where the manhunt for the leaders of the group begins. Spain, 2018. Spanish authorities were investigating a criminal organization that was laundering money in Spain. With the help of Interpol, an international law enforcement agency, the Spanish police were able to find out who was delivering the money that was being laundered and who their clients were. Through sheer coincidence, they discovered that one of the clients of the money laundering criminals was a Ukrainian computer specialist known as Dennis K. After thoroughly investigating this man, it was revealed that he had links to the Russian and Moldovan mafia and that he had coordinated several cyber attacks for them. They had been cooperating since 2013, and while the mafia provided Dennis K with the money mules, he would pay a hefty 40% of all of his profits to these Eastern European criminal organizations. Dennis K and 3 other members of the group were finally arrested in the port city of Alicante in 2018, and upon raiding their property, police found boxes full of jewelry, 2 BMWs, and 15,000 bitcoins, which, at the time, were worth about $150 million US dollars. The rest of the $1 billion US dollars was never found, and even though Dennis K was supposedly the leader of the group, Kaspersky Labs believed that there are many more people involved in this. Either way, the group is still active today and still stealing millions every year, operating under different names, such as Fin7, Joker Stash, Cobalt Spider, and many more.